You guys, happy Valentine's Day. Scott, it's Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's
Yeah,
Day.
happy Valentine's Day, guys. Okay, even though it's Valentine's and us and, of course, Oreo Jr. is giving y'all all kinds of love, we still gonna scare you, honey. We still gonna freak you out because, what's a little, love without a little, I don't know, scare. I don't know how those go together, but I mean,
Yeah, let's see. Was there? I'm trying to think. Was there any? Can't think of any Valentine's Day horror movies, but you
uh
think of.
huh. Isn't like my boyfriend's back? Wasn't he like a zombie? Or no, there is a Valentine's Day movie. Scott, look it up. Okay, well, for tonight, we are, of course, still on Still More Tales for the Midnight Hour by J.B Stamper. We're on, I think it's the third story. Honey, we've been busting through these stories. This might be the fourth. Oh, we're on the fourth. We busting through these books, child. Anyway, we're doing today's movie, ha ha ha. Today's story is called Words of Warning. Mm, 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 mm. Peter had been in Greenfield for only one day when he heard the story. The old man who told it to him had acted strange, but the story was stranger yet. Mhm. Peter didn't believe in things like haunted or ghosts or haunted houses, but it gave him the creeps to think about them. The old man, whose name was Charlie, had warned him not to go near an abandoned house that was nearby. Don't do it, sir. You don't know what in the hell is in that house. You don't know. It could be some addicts. It could be, I don't know, people just squatting up in it. It could be anything. They could be selling drugs. Like, sir, no, don't do it. Anyway, in the past 5 years, five boys and girls had last been seen walking towards it. Mhm. They had disappeared into thin air. The only explanation that the house was possessed by some strange power. Peter stood at the porch of the country inn where his family was staying, and he wished that he was home. His parents had driven for hours out of the city to spend the autumn weekend there. They had come to see the fall leaves that turn spectacular colors in this remote part of New England. It sounds so pretty. It sounds so pretty. Like, I love watching leaves change, like in the fall. Like, at one point, I was stationed in Tampa. And, while I loved it, it was great. Nothing beats Florida weather, but you don't get a fall. It's just, I felt like something was missing. Fall and spring were missing. So I get why they trucked it on down to, go look at these leaves. They're so pretty. Peter was already bored by looking at the leaves. He couldn't get his mind off Charlie's strange story. Sorry, y'all, I forgot to put Oreo Jr. back there. Okay, anyway, back to it. Charlie was the gardener at the inn. He said that he had noticed Peter's hair right away when he arrived in the inn. That made Peter uncomfortable because he didn't like when people noticed his red hair. Why you don't like that? Look, today I'm wearing red. You can't see it because it's dark in here. I wish I had red hair, honey. I would be around there doing all kind, like, honey, just looking for all kinds of attention. Okay, like, do you see I'm a redhead? Period.
Right.
Scott, we should dye my hair red.
Okay.
Okay.
Get on that.
Period. Charlie said that he didn't warn every boy or girl who stopped at the inn about the story, but he felt obligated to tell Peter. Now that should tell you something, sir. If he talking about your hair, and then he talking about, oh, kids disappear, 5 of them in 5 years. That's a kid a year. Okay, sound like they doing a little sacrificing over there, sir. It sounds like stay your little butt. Either dye your hair, okay, or stay your little butt at that inn and go look at them leaves. Okay, that's what it sounds like to me. I don't know what it sounds like to y'all, but that's what it sounds like to me. They worry. Whoa, 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 whoa. The owners of the inn refused to talk about the 5 boys and girls who had disappeared. Of course, he didn't talk about. They worried that it would be bad for business. Of course, they were worried about their business. Of course. Peter decided he couldn't stand around another second, honey. Peter said, this ain't the jam. He ran down the steps of the porch and started down the driveway leading him from the inn. He knew his parents wouldn't miss him. They had left the inn an hour ago to take a walk in the woods. They had carried their binoculars just in case they sighted an interesting bird. Peter had turned down their invitation to join. He wasn't interested in bird watches and he didn't care about red, orange, and yellow leaves he was kicking as he walked down the lane. Okay, Peter. Several yards ahead, Peter saw a fork in the road. The way leading off to the left was the more traveled road that his father had driven down as they came up to the inn. The way to the right narrowed down to a footpath through a thick strand of trees. A slight tingle ran down Peter's spine as he realized his mind was made up. Oh Lord. He was going to take the path to the right, the path that led to the old house that Charlie had told him to stay away from. Of course, we're doing that because you wouldn't be in this book if you didn't, honey. Okay, you about to go ruin your life and maybe somebody else's, but let's see what you're going to do. Even though that man told you don't do it. As Peter walked down the path, he noticed that the leaves covering it looked undisturbed, as if no one walked there before him. Yet the path was easy to follow as it cut through the trees and thick undergrowth from the forest floor. Mhm. Peter suddenly got an eerie feeling at the back of his neck and turned quickly around. But the only thing he saw was a pair of red leaves drifting slowly down to the ground. Peter walked on for 15 minutes, looking ahead to see nothing but more trees. You could have went out there with your mama and daddy, sir, for all this. Sound like you on a hike. Sound like you should have brought some binoculars. Sound like you need to be looking at some birds and not going to this house that man told you don't do it. Peter suddenly got an eerie feeling at the back of his neck and turned quickly around. Oh, I already read that. Peter walked on. Oh, I already read that too. He began to wonder if the old man had played a joke on him, a kid from the city. But then he came to a wide clearing in the trees, and standing there like a scene from a horror movie was a gray shingle, dilapidated house. Sound like Amityville Horror. Did you look up and see if there was a Valentine's Day movie?
I did.
Is there?
Yeah. My Bloody Valentine.
Period. Yeah, it's like a slasher 90s movie.
Yeah.
Period.
That was the only one that. Oh, then there was. They said Bride of Chucky's a Valentine's.
That no.
So I can only think that must have happened on Valentine's Day.
That's a bad remake. Don't go. Y'all can go look for my whatever Valentine, my Bloody Valentine, but don't go. They doing too many Chucky movies.
One that made sense. I had never heard of it, but it seems like it makes sense that they made one called Cupid. So Cupid's probably the bad guy.
Period. Y'all go watch that and come back to the comments and tell me.
That I noticed has nothing to do with it, but just because the name is Tales from the Crypt, but it had nothing to do with the HBO TV show. It was just an old 1972 movie called Tales from the Crypt.
That's not Valentine either. Go see my Bloody Valentine. That's probably a better one. I saw that when I was younger. That's good. It's a slasher film from the 90s show. Anyway, a whirlwind of leaves suddenly blew around in front of Peter as a cloud passed over the sun. That is what we call foreshadowing, sir. And that's usually a bad sign. But let's see what you're going to do here. The color of the leaves faded without the sunlight, and the house seemed to cast a shadow over everything around it. Okay, get on in Amityville, child. Peter pushed back the feeling of panic that had started growing in his mind. He took a few more steps towards the house. It was an old, rambling 3-story structure with a porch all around it. Many of its windows were broken. The porch sagged at a sickening angle, and the shutters hung crookedly on their frames. Peter thought about his friends back home. They would love hearing his stories about this house. But they would ask if he had gone inside. And if he said no, they would call him chicken. Sir, I'm going to need for you to learn this new concept. Okay? Y'all ready for this concept? I'm going to whisper it to you because I don't want too many people to know about what this man can do about that. You ready, Scott? Y'all ready out there? Lie. Period. Just lie. How they going to know? They're going to go out there and go see the house?
God will know.
But will he?
I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow on Sunday Funday School.
We will find out tomorrow on Sunday Funday School. We will. Peter, oh, wait, no, read that. Peter tried not to think too much and began to walk up to the house with quick strides. But the old man's story kept coming back into his mind. The strange story seemed more real now that he was standing in front of the house. He hesitated before setting his foot on the first step of the stairs leading up to the porch. The wind had died down, and there wasn't a sound except for the occasional call of the bird in the woods. Peter stood there, undecided. He heard a faint noise inside the house. It grew a little louder, a strange kind of noise he had never heard before. Oh, you should really go in there now, Peter. Just go on in there. Let's see what happens. Then a weird sensation came over him. He felt drawn to the house as though something was pulling inside of him. Unwillingly, his right foot went forward and stepped up to the first step. Peter screamed and pulled his body back. Oh, Lord Jesus. You got to fight that feeling. He scrambled back from whatever power had come over him and ran into the woods. He tore along the path, bumping into trees and scratching himself on branches. 10 minutes later, he ran up to the inn where his mother and father were sitting on the porch. Peter, what happened? His mother asked. Nothing, Peter gasped, his heart pounding in his ears. Just nothing. The next day, more guests arrived at the inn. Peter sat on the porch and watched them as they unpacked their cars and settled in. One family had two boys near his age. Okay, period. Now you got something to do so you can stay away from that house. They came on the porch and introduced themselves right away. Brian, who was tall and skinny and had dark brown hair, was 14. Jeff, who was short and stocky and had blonde hair, was 12. Peter noticed the old gardener, Charlie, staring at them from the yard, but he kept breaking leaves. Yeah, because they ain't got red hair, sir. He specifically told you, I looked at your head and I said, that right there is a problem. These kids ain't got red hair, it's just you, sir. Not that it's a bad thing, but in this story, I think it's a bad thing. So, what's there to do around here? Jeff said. My parents brought us up here to look at leaves. So here are the leaves. What do we do now? There isn't even a television in our room, Brian said. Girl, who brings a bunch of teenage boys to a inn and ain't no video games? What year was this book? Let me see. 1989. Somebody better get these kids an Atari. Was Nintendo out in 1989?
I don't know if it was quite out. Yeah. I think the first Nintendo was.
Get them kids Super Mario Brothers and a Nintendo.
Yeah, because I remember I was still in high school. I was playing Game Boy.
Okay, get them kids a Game Boy and a little bird watch thing.
Say, I would like to do something like that now, but as a young boy, teenager, like going leave watching would be like at the bottom of my list of things I want to do.
Shame on these parents here. Shame.
Especially since I lived in the Northeast where I could see it every year anyway.
Yeah, shame on these parents. Bring these kids an Atari or a Game Boy or Nintendo with Super Mario Brothers and the other game Bird Watch. Or was it Bird? It was Bird Hunt. Anyway.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Duck Hunt. Get them that. I can't believe we're stuck here for the whole weekend. What have you been doing? Jeff asked. Watching birds? Peter sat up straight. He could tell them something exciting. I went to the haunted house yesterday, he said. It's far from here, and it's really creepy. Jeff let out a high-pitched laugh. You believe in haunted houses? I can't take it. Peter felt a blush creeping over his face. I'll show you where it is, he said. You can see it for yourself. Great. We'll meet you on the front steps in a half an hour, Brian said, right after we unpack. In a half an hour, Peter repeated as they walked away. He looked at Charlie raking the leaves. He wondered why Charlie hadn't warned Jeff or Brian about the house. Because they don't have red hair, sir, and neither should you. I'll be up there. I would have asked my parents to take me to Walgreens or something and got me some hair dye, but that's just me. Half an hour later, Peter stood waiting by the front steps of the inn. He kicked a pile of leaves impatiently, wondering if Jeff and Brian would show up. He wished they would hurry. If Charlie happened to come around to the front, Peter didn't want him to see them going off in the direction of the old house. Finally, the screen door of the inn slammed loudly, and Jeff and Brian bound down the steps at the inn. Lead the way, they yelled to Peter. The three boys ran off down the lane and at the fork took the path to the right that led to the old house. Peter was running in the lead, and the two boys close behind him. Y'all ran the whole way there? Oh, Lord. These kids need to be in the Olympics, the Winter Olympics. Shout out to them. I have seen some amazing tricks on this year's Winter Olympics. Them people fit. As the path grew more narrow, they slowed their pace to a walk. Were you kidding about this house? Jeff asked as they walked through the carpet of leaves that had grown even thicker. It's here, all right, Peter said. He knew the house was only a few minutes away because his chest had started growing heavy with anxiety. That's always a sign. Soon they walked out into the clearing around the house. Peter looked at the house, looked at the house, hulking like a dark giant among the brightly colored leaves, and shuddered. Wow, Jeff whispered. It looks haunted, all right. Let's go, Brian yelled, starting towards the house at a run. Jeff ran quickly after him. No, wait, Peter screamed. He stayed there at the edge of the clearing. The other boys turned around and stared at him. What's the matter with you? Jeff said. Are you chicken? I wouldn't go any further if I was you, Peter warned. The two boys laughed at him and ran up to the house. Peter watched as they bound up the porch stairs two at a time. Brian reached the door first. He grabbed the old handle and gave it a hard push. The door swung open with a sickening creak. Peter took a few steps towards the house. Brian and Jeff looked back to him and laughed again. These ain't your friends, Peter, sir. These ain't your friends, okay? They laughing at you too much. Then they both went inside the house. Peter felt a sweat break out on his brow. He couldn't bring himself to go up to the house, no matter how he willed his feet to move forward. It's probably for the best, sir. I would have stayed. I would have let them little boys go, and I would have ran back like, oh my God, they gone. 10 minutes later, Brian and Jeff came out of the house covered with dust and cobwebs. Some haunted house, Jeff said. All there was a bunch of old furniture. Why didn't you come in? Brian asked. You're not really afraid of this place, are you? Come on. I've got to get back, Peter said, starting off down the path of the inn. Chicken, whispered Jeff behind his back. Chicken, Brian echoed. Told you these ain't your friends, sir. The next day, Jeff and Brian ignored Peter. They are not your friends, sir. He knew what they thought of him, and he was beginning to think they were right. Why should he be afraid of an old house if two of them had walked around inside and not heard or seen anything? He had just let the old man's story get to his imagination. Okay. Brian nervously ran his hands through his red hair that you should have dyed. Then he made up his mind. He was going back to the house. He would prove himself that he wasn't a chicken. Oh. And he would come back and tell Jeff and Brian what he had done. Here we go. Here go my question.
Okay.
Y'all, Scott, would you have gone back if you was a teenage boy and you met these two little boys that you didn't really know, and they had went up into this haunted house and this old man told you, oh, you got red hair, don't go up in there? Would you go? Y'all put it in the comment section if you would go back or not. And like, would you do it for real? Scott, would you do it?
Yes.
Why? Is this a guy thing?
I guess so.
Oh my. Okay. I wouldn't have went, honey. I would have been out there with my parents, looking at birds and leaves and having a good time. But okay, let's see what little PP gonna do here.
It's like Marty McFly. You can't let them call you chicken.
Sticks and stones. Sticks and stones. Maybe he would even bring back something from inside to prove it. Oh, look at you. Peter looked up as he set off from the inn. Storm clouds were gathering in the late afternoon sky. A chilling autumn wind cut through his sweater and blew the leaves off the trees in swirling clumps. That sounds so pretty. The path leading to the old house looked different today. Yeah, I'm sure it do. Many of the trees along it had been stripped almost bare of their leaves. The white birches looked like skeletons shivering in the wind. Peter stuck his hand in his pocket and kicked fiercely through the leaves at his feet. Why had Charlie ever told him that story anyway? Peter started to run along the path to warm himself up. The sooner he got to the house, the sooner it would all be over. Within a short time, he was standing at the clearing with the house in front of him. Just like yesterday, he found that his legs were suddenly frozen with fear. That is a sign, sir. The house looked evil today, hunched under the dark gray sky. Peter forced himself to walk towards it. He hugged his arms around his body, trying to keep himself from shivering. Step by step, he drew nearer to the stairs going up the front porch. The old man's words of warning went through his mind. Peter ignored them. He couldn't stop now. Oh, yes, you can. A step away from the steps, he heard the same weird noise, whooshing sounds he'd heard before. A swell of panic rose inside of him. He tried to stop his foot from stepping into the first step, but it was too late. Just then, two invisible arms grabbed hold of him and pulled him up the stairs into the porch. And then, in front of him, the door to the house swung open as if pushed by an invisible hand. Peter felt himself being pulled inside the house. He couldn't run away. He couldn't escape. The door slammed behind him. Peter looked around the room in terror. 5 ghostly faces stared back at him. And finally, Peter understood the old man's words of warning. For each ghost had red hair. And they all lived happily ever after, period. He found him some friends, baby. Okay, well, that ends that tale. Hopefully, y'all will be able to, get back to the love thing and get out of the horror thing that we just did. And of course, we got, lessons learned. So, you guys out there, what lesson did y'all learn from this story besides if some person tell you don't go to no haunted house, don't do it? That's the obvious one. But what did you learn? Put it in the comment section. Scott, what did you learn from this?
Well, I mean, that was kind of my thing, but
I took away your answer. Yeah,
that's all right. You can also go with, you can't, just because your friends tease you about something doesn't mean you should fall into the trap and do it.
Don't be peer pressured, period. I know grown people still getting peer pressure. And it's like, really? Well, everybody took all. I think mine's is gone. I don't even think I got a lesson from it. Oh, appreciate your hair. Period. Just appreciate your appearance. Peter was over there like, oh my God, I don't even like my red hair. Oh my God. Sir, that should be your biggest asset. I'll be running around there with my red hair just flowing, baby. Just let my soul glow. Period. Okay. But also make sure you heed warnings. Like if the locals tell you don't do something, you probably shouldn't do it. So there's that on that about that. Do you have anything else, Scott?
No, I think that's all I really had.
That's all you got. Okay, guys. Well, with that, we're gonna bid you adieu so you guys can get back to to your love island thing, do your lovey-dovey thing. Of course, as always, we appreciate you guys coming and hanging with us. We hope you enjoyed. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Check out some other videos if you're new here. And yeah, with that, we're gonna bid you guys adieu. So from wherever we are, even if it's in a haunted house with a bunch of redheaded ghosts, to wherever you guys are, peace, love, happiness, and skinnamarink dicky dick. And we'll see you guys. I think we're gonna skip hitchhikers today because it's the love day. So we're gonna let y'all do y'all love thing and we'll come back with it. So we'll see you guys tomorrow for a Sunday Fun Day School, and then we'll continue Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So you guys have a happy, 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 and very loving Valentine's Day. We'll see you guys tomorrow.